Hi there, everyone. It's Antonia. How is everyone today? Hope you're all doing good. Well, here we go with Social Worker Tips Part 5. Okay, here we go. Okay, so let's talk about family advocacy. Okay, so we have here extended family member helps with attending to family and children's needs. Let's take a look at all these topics. Natural support team, friends, family, church, organizations. And we have problem-solving abilities and knowledge of services and accessing the services. Okay, so this slide speaks to when you're out there in the field and you're in the home, okay, you're visiting or investigating the family, whichever way. This is another scope to be looking for and to gather information about in reference to do we have any other family members that actually are helping in the particular family that you are investigating or working with and helping with their needs. For example, is there a grandmother in the house? Is there someone that is helping out with babysitting, picking up the children from school, cooking for the children, maybe taking them to their medical appointments, um, taking them for their recreation activities, taking them to their particular services. It could maybe friends are also participating in this. Um, and do these people that are helping in the family, do they understand about accessing services? Do they have knowledge about services? And why we want to gather information in this area is because, like, well, first of all, how the case came into your hands in the first place. Um, there could be some wrong information. Maybe it looks like the parents are not taking care of their children or bringing them to services or whatever. Somebody is reporting this because of whatever they think they're seeing. But then you're finding out in another area here that there are actually other people that are involved in working with the family that are helping with the duties because maybe the parents have jobs that take them out of the city for maybe 1 or 2 days. You know, there's all kinds of jobs out there. There are jobs where, you know, a sales, maybe the parents are involved in a sales position and they might have to be traveling from their accounts from here to there. And somebody's reporting that you know, the children are alone because maybe they're not seeing the parents and the car's not in the driveway. You'd be surprised the misinformation that comes through. So those are the things that you want to be looking at because then you're going to find that's what you may be finding out. And then on the other side of the spectrum is another part where maybe um, the family has the extended help because maybe they have a disability of some sort, an illness, maybe they're in the hospital, um, or maybe they came back from the hospital, and now we see other people taking care of the children, but somebody's reporting that the children are taking care of themselves, let's say, and they don't see the parents with the children or even with the school. Schools are really notorious for that. They'll make a report because they're not seeing the parent, but maybe they just didn't get the communication yet in the area of that there's a friend or someone else that is stepping in to help because maybe the parent's in the hospital for a little while. Okay, so these are all the maybes and the ideas that go into this advocacy kind of window. All kinds of things happen here, and then you want to know that whoever is in charge has the ability and some knowledge about, for emergencies, accessing the services. Do they have access to insurance cards for the children while the parents are absent? Okay, so these are the scenarios that are possibilities in this area, and you'd be surprised. It is out there. I have seen it. It has happened to me, and I remember such cases. And and then like, let's say if you're in the family services unit or even PD, because PD could have a case like this that, until they close it for 60 days, or they may be extending it and sending it to family services unit. Um, it's it's really very important to continue with the monitoring, because you want to, before you close out such a case, if it isn't a PD unit, because you want to make sure that that there are no safety issues, and whoever is in charge while the parents are absent, that you're coming to a conclusion that the people in charge um are responsible, right? That's what we want to look for. Okay, get a sip of this coffee. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, tools of exceptional questioning. Okay, so this category of questioning talks about the who, the what, the when, the where. Okay, this is the area, this is the focus in this style of questioning. So these questions can help uncover the solutions to issues. Examples. So you could ask, so if you were not using that electric cord to discipline your children, what could you be doing differently? Okay, so depending on what kind of an answer you get, you're getting an idea, like, well, first of all, if they're using an electric cord, you're taking this family to court. And it looks like there's going to be a removal of some sort, depending on, who was involved in doing such. But the answer is really important, because you're getting an insight into the thoughts of this person's mind. So you would say to yourself, let's say that person says something like, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I should have just sat down and talked with her or him, um, grounded him or her, or taken specific privileges away or something like that. So if the person comes from that kind of an angle, but in their rage, went ahead and started to look for an item to hit their child, yeah, we're talking about a kind of a violence or something that you definitely have to put in services, and that person needs to be removed from the home because they know better. Well, this could be more than one kind of removal in this instant too, because now let's say on the other hand, you get an answer like maybe nothingness, and there's a pause, and the person's not saying anything. You would say to yourself, and you would ask other questions because now you might be finding out that there's something else going on here with this person, the parent, and maybe not even understanding what they did and why are they not understanding it. So there's got to be some kind of an evaluation going on here because something happened. Something really, is not right. And you're going to definitely need some evaluations here. But still, there's going to be a removal in this case. Okay. All right, let's take a look at this other one here. I bet you have figured out ways to keep the children safe. And how have you done this? So, you also kind of letting them know. It kind of helps you get more of a rapport with this person that you're interviewing when you ask a question like this, because you're giving them an in where you want them to explore themselves, and they're going to come up and tell you because it's like you're acknowledging, you're saying that I know that you know better and you can do this, and you want to see what that kind of an answer is. How have you done this? So that you're giving them a positive kind of opening to answer your question, to actually work with you, because you're showing them that you're meeting them. There's a meeting of the mind. You're meeting them halfway. You're telling them that, I mean, not to condone anything that's bad, but you want them to actually, think about this. Tell me about how you would keep your children safe. And then you get to hold them to that, because when you're writing in your notes in further conversation, like suppose the person said, well, I I made sure that I got window guards so that I don't have to worry about my children falling out the window, the baby's crawling up, or on the back end of my couch that's up against that window. Okay, so and then you'll be writing this down, and you would elaborate on that with them, and you bring in an attention to what they're saying that they are doing to prevent any um, safety issue. You see, that's a good thing. And you can go on and on and on with those kind of questionings and ask, and what else? You could add on to that, and what else? And then the person might say something like, I have all my medications locked away. I have one closet where I have a lock on that door just for that. Now you're writing that down too, and you say, oh wow, you tell them that's great. That's a very good thing. And it can go further, and just keep going on with more. And is there anything else you could think of? Like, um, what about the area of the kitchen, the staircase, depending on the age of the children, so you could play around with these kind of questions. Okay, so those are some ideas. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, and we have coping questions. Questions to focus on coping. And here are some examples. What has been helpful in solving the situation? And what we have here, what would be helpful to keep the kids safe? What must change to do this? Okay. So let's say the person says, like, let's take a look at this first question here. What has been helpful in solving the situation? Okay. Let's say the person says, the parent, well, we always have family meetings. We sit down and we talk together. I get together with the kids and I tell them about how, we could solve the issue, or let's and I also invite them into the conversation because I want them to participate in creating the solution. Like, suppose we have some sibling rivalry going on in this case, and the two teenagers are throwing things at each other, pulling each other's hair, and these girls are just going bonkers because, oh, she took my curling iron and she took this, and it goes back and forth, and you'd be surprised how that can get out of hand. So let's say now the teenager or even the parent might even come up with the solution. Maybe the teenager might say, well, Mom, how about if you give her own curling iron and I should have my own, so that we won't get mad at each other about who's borrowing what and who didn't give it back or who might break it and this and that. And then there has to be some apologies, and there's still going to be some ground rules that they have to understand because of whatever they did. Even though we're going to solve it, um, there's consequences that needs to be spoken here. There's always the cause and effect. So you're not only asking the questions and getting them involved in developing their own coping mechanisms, you're involved in participating in counseling them at the same time. So the social worker has like many hats to wear here. You're investigating, you're counseling, you're teaching, you're monitoring, you're visiting to make sure all this is, you know, uh, going well, and there's no safety issues. Because that's what a social worker's job is all about, right? So we want to make social change. We want to teach. We want to help. We want to make sure everyone is safe. Okay, so those are some ideas in that category. Let's go to the next slide. We have indirect and direct. Question category to change the focus and reflect on the perception. Okay, so here's some examples. Has anyone commented on your family issues? If your grandfather was here, what would he say about your parenting skills? It's interesting questioning, right? Because what you're doing is you're bringing attention to the parent, making them really get into that thinking mode about whatever's going on and their participation in it. What do they think about it? It makes them think about, okay, like, what are people thinking around me? What are they seeing? Like, what can I change here? You want them to take a look at themselves, okay? And what do they think someone would be saying because of whatever they saw or whatever the situation is? And then whatever answer they give you is really so important because now you're getting insight to how they perceive this. And then comes your job because then you're going to have to figure out, okay, so we got to change this perception because this is not safe. And then you're looking at, we're talking about services here. We got to go down a path to where we want to make sure the family is safe. Um, Depending on the answers that you're getting here, it'll give you it may even give you another path to go down and more people to interview that you might uncover as you're asking these kind of questions. Okay, what would you think your kids could say they like about their father being clean from drug use? That's interesting because that's also can go into a category of empowering as well, giving them insight into themselves and make them feel proud. Well, like if I do this, my children will be so proud of me and happy because they would want me to stay in the home and be with them and take care of them. And, they don't want to be removed from the home and put in foster care, or maybe I have to leave. And, like these are all the things that are so important about specific questions to help guide um, the family members and also to help you with your monitoring and investigating work. What else we have here? What behavior do you think I must see to be sure the kids are safe? Now that's interesting, right? So that opens up a whole other area. It'll be very interesting to hear the answers to that. You might hear something like, well, their behavior of maybe not indulging in alcohol, in drugs, maybe, would be a good way to begin, right? Because if you're really not all together in your abilities, how are you going to know if your kids are safe? Or let's say you're under the influence and you don't want to be in a car driving them to their doctor's appointments, therapy appointments, creative activities, and whatever else goes on, or grocery shopping and clothes shopping or vacations or whatever. These are all the things that you need to spark that attention and get them on a positive path. So these are some ideas in that kind of questioning. All right, let's see. Next slide. Scaling. We have here scaling questions is a category with rating scales of numbers. Okay, so that's usually that's the 0 to 10 thing. You've probably heard such before, right? So on a scale of 0 to 10, rate yourself on solving family issues. An example, on a scale of 0 to 10, where are you on correct disciplining of your children? This kind of a question really can bring some very interesting responses. You know, like imagine if the person said, 6. My thoughts instantly with a 6 would be, okay, so this person knows that they're really not good at this. So I would start getting nervous about, okay, what is going on here? You know, I would have to ask that person to elaborate on that instantly, because we're definitely looking at parenting skills and a lot more questioning. On a scale of 0 to 10, where are you on your coping skills with your depression? See, that's another helpful way without being, without looking like you're um, like overly interrogating, like you're getting them involved in participating in evaluating themselves. You're putting the shoe on the other foot. You're making them investigate themselves, and you get to be the helpful person. Now that's really good when we're talking about rapport. It's a meeting of the minds. I'm going to help you. Okay. So these are some ideas. Let's see our next slide. Okay. This is an interesting one. The miracle. Miracle questions tend to imagine a miracle took place for the family in whatever the issue was, and gives the person answering this a moment to create the miracle with their thoughts, their words, for the answer in resolving the issues at hand in their life. Very interesting questioning. So for the adults, you'll use the word miracle when questioning, and with children, you're going to use words like magic or magic one. And here's some examples. What will you notice that tells you the miracle happened, and what things are better? And that's directed to the adult. So what will you notice that tells you the miracle happened? So let's think about that. And what things are better? Well, how about the scenario of maybe teenagers are not coming home after school when they're supposed to, maybe because they're scared that the parent is abusing substance and they're scared to go home. So let's say that parent answers this kind of a question like, well, what I notice is in my miracle that the children are coming home after school. And then you're saying, okay, so that's the thing that's better. And now the parent's saying yes. And you're saying, well, what is the story behind that? And then the parent says, well, I stopped the drinking. I stopped drinking the alcohol, which makes me not an angry person because I'm an angry kind of person when I drink too much, and I'm not a very nice person to be with, and I don't cook, and then I don't take the kids to their after school activities, and now the miracle is that my children do come home and we're so much happier, and I take them to their activities. So that's very interesting way to get them involved in reflecting on themselves and to create their own miracles. Right? Then we have here, what did you see after you waved your magic wand over the bullying at school? What changed? Say you're talking to a kid here. Let's say the kid says, they giggle a little bit and they laugh, you know, because you're talking about a magic wand. They're probably thinking Harry Potter, right? And then the kid says, well, I followed the school rules and I went to talk to my teacher, and the teacher spoke with the principal, and they made that kid's parents come up to school and made him stop treating me like that. So I would ask them, in the changing, what are you saying? Well, I finally got the courage. The kid would say, well, I finally got the courage to speak up and ask for help. So you're helping them create that change by playing around with using the word miracle and magic wands and putting them in charge of resolving the issue, empowering them to, come on, think about this. What can you do? Does that make sense? Yeah, it's interesting kind of questioning. I like this frame. Okay, so that is it for this video. And I hope you enjoyed this. I thank you so much for viewing and hope that this is helping. Like I said in many of my other videos, this is what I enjoy bringing to the community, kind of stepping into your shoes now and saying, well, gee, I really like the extra help in the condensed versions and someone talking about some scenarios, and it's in a slow time, meaning you get to sit with yourself and scan through the PowerPoint and pick and choose maybe what area you need help with or what you want to remember, and at your leisurely, on your time, looking through all this to help you as you go through your beginning time, your 18 months probation, as that new worker, and to feel good about what you're doing and that you have a little extra support working through your practice. Okay, so you have a good day, and there'll be more videos coming, so keep a lookout. I'll come up with all kinds of other topics that I remember. Okay, so you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye-bye.